opportunity very soon to just to go up to visit from here.
Have you spoken to somebody about it?
Yeah, so I talked to Mr. Farouk, of course, but I also talked to external publicity.
I see.
So hopefully it can be arranged very soon.
Did they deal with the
Well, I asked them today whether it would be possible to do it, for example, tomorrow, and they said, well, maybe not. It's too quick notice. But anyway,
you like to travel by road, which is roads have been blocked. That's like
oh, really? Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, but we will see.
They might arrange a helicopter for you or something. Sometimes they do that for you.
Oh, I see. Right. Oh, okay. Right. All right. Well, the first question I was wondering why. What is happening now?
Just 1 second. वो मैं वो कह रहा है कि वो जो ordinance था
has been an issue, but things have been quiet for years, and of late, things have there's basically a revolt on the Indian side.
It seems that there has been a sudden hello,
Kashmiri independence or voices for freedom.
We call it freedom.
Okay, right. Why is it sort of burst out now at this particular time? Is there any reason?
Yes, certainly it has very cogent reasons. You see, in the first instance, although it has been, it appeared that it was quiet, but it has never been quiet in the real sense. There have been movements time and again to cross over the ceasefire line, and people moving from that side to this side, shootings and killings all the time going on. If you look at the record of the observers, the UN observers, you will see that it is replete with incidents. People have been killed from this side, from that side. This border has remained active ever since it has been active. So it is not not that it has been quiet in that sense, totally quiet.
Yeah, that's right.
But the various movements were started and they failed. Many movements were started and failed ultimately. But this time now there has been an upsurge all over the world, and it is not here. But it has been particularly triggered by the invasion in Afghanistan. That is from where a new era of upsurge or revival of freedom movements, actually started. And I remember very well that the moment after Afghanistan was attacked, people from Kashmir started running over to join in the fight. Maybe they were motivated to go and fight
in Afghanistan.
All
right.
And also, they might have been motivated by the desire to get training and then go back and resume fighting there. And this had already happened in 47. We did the same. We also manipulated the situation in a manner that ultimately led to an armed revolt in Kashmir, which caused the liberation of 32,000 square miles of area, which is now called Free Kashmir. So Kashmir has been active since the 1930s. You see, early 30s it has been very active. And then at one time it was part of the Russia's Asian security plan also sometimes back. So like that, the political activity has all the time been going on around it. And then the British had posted, created a special contingent there in Gilgit, which was posted there against the Chinese. So like that, you see, this became sort of a pivotal position in Kashmir from all the Russia, China, India, British, Americans, everybody being interested in it.
Right.
Now, this coupled with मैं जब बात कर रहा हूँ यहाँ अंदर, second, which I'm convinced is second cause which triggered this trouble is the Indian reaction to the Afghanistan movement. Now, the moment this movement started in Afghanistan, India was equally concerned, and what they visualized was that if these Afghans succeed in the name of religion and ultimately succeed in forming their own government, in the terms of Western terminology, the fundamentalists, which I perhaps don't understand as much as what in theory
Right.
So they thought that if they succeed there, then the next would be Pakistan and Kashmir. So Rajiv Gandhi, if you remember, had said it in very clear words in the last year of Afghan war that they will not permit setting up of a fundamentalist government next door of the borders in Afghanistan or in Pakistan. Now, in order to stop this movement in Afghanistan, then they switched over their activities to Kashmir. That is to preempt any movement that might take place, because the movement was, in the offing all the time. So, in order to take that preemptive action caused automatic reactions.
What preemptive action did they take?
For example, they tried to change the demographic complexion of the state. It is an overwhelmingly Muslim majority state, and they tried to bring in
Hindu people. Oh, I see.
And settle them there. Then they tried to best to dilute their Islamic identity by so many means through scientific means, and the youth became very conscious of this dilution. This was done suddenly within the last 5-6 years. That had never been done before. But this was all, as I presume, it came after the Afghan issue was activated.
Right.
So all this created a chain reaction, and the people started reacting to it and then trying to find the way. And the third element which must have strengthened their faith in their capability to liberate themselves must have stemmed from the 1987 brass tack exercise by India. The Indian government pulled up their entire military might to see on the borders of Pakistan, and then ultimately, without bringing it into play, they had to put it back. This must have created confidence in the people of Kashmir and Pakistan. That Pakistan is viable, defensible, and therefore, if they resorted to any action, perhaps there would be no lashback on Pakistan like 1965 and 71. Because that has been a great impediment in the movements in Kashmir by itself. That has been the greatest impediment. And whenever there was a movement in Kashmir, Pakistan was threatened.
Oh, right.
And when Pakistan could not be threatened, well, naturally, the movement would take its natural course. Then, of course, what happened in Europe, Eastern Europe, and what happened in Russia, all these things put together, you see, and the big number of these youngsters escaping into Afghanistan, getting training and going back. That exercise has gone on for long, not only from Kashmir, but from many other places, as you know, you must know yourself. From almost the world over, people have been coming, but the Muslims and non-Muslims and Christians.
Right.
They've been joining this Afghan movement. Like that, we have reports that many youngsters from Kashmir have gone and joined the jihad war in Afghanistan. So all these things put together, they ripened the situation into what we now have.
Right. Well, it's almost a military conflict now, isn't it? I mean, Indian army versus sort of a mujahideen guerrillas, right?
Well, I think it is still a resistance movement. It is not, strictly speaking, a military confrontation. We've been trying to avoid that. We've been trying to tell the boys to restrict the movement to a resistance movement, politically motivated resistance movement instead of taking up arms. Because I personally believe that if Sikhs had not taken up arms, they would have devastated the Indian politics by resorting to resistance movement, political resistance. But they resorted
to a non-violent political resistance?
Yes, exactly.
All right.
You see, because the Sikhs were basically militants, they could not think of a militant movement. Here in Kashmir, we've been trying not to repeat the same experiment. But in order to secure their safety, sometimes they resort to use of arms. But that cannot be called strictly military showdown in India. Yeah. But it might as well be contrary.
Right. How close are your contacts with people on the other side of the ceasefire line?
We have contacts in 2-3 ways. So one is people through the legal channel, visas and passports. Kashmiris keep coming from Pakistan.
But they can't come across the land. They have
they have to come all the way from
by sea or by air or
from Delhi.
From Delhi,
yeah,
right?
From Delhi, by air, and that is one contact. And the other is, of course, through the countries of North. The Kashmiris living in America, and United States, and France, Germany, all over Scandinavia. Many people, both from this side and from that side. So these contacts have also gone on for years.
Right.
And the third is, of course, ideological consensus you see on both sides. For example, sometimes when we make a statement here, it is responded by them there. When they say something, sometimes we make a call, boycotting this, boycotting that, so they respond to it. When they make a call like that, we respond to it here. So that also establishes a very active contact on both sides. Right. And the fourth one, which we have not utilized as official channel, is the indigenous crossing across the most vulnerable ceasefire line, about 12 to 1400 kilometers, rugged terrain, ravines, rivers, forests, and all that. It has never been used off like that in a strict sense. But we haven't used that as an official source of an official channel.
Do you know? I mean, there have been a few charges that the Kashmiri resistance movement or freedom movement has been getting arms supplies from Afghan resistance sources. Is that true or not true?
It could be true. I can't really, because I have never been a party to it myself directly.
Yeah.
Never involved in it.
Right.
But all the same, as I know that weapons is a routine in Pakistan. There are hundreds and thousands of weapons floating around. And there's no doubt of people who just out of fun, for love for the idea, you see, they might have been doing it. Some people might be purchasing it. Some of armed people might be lending them without that. So there could be, there's a possibility. You see, that we cannot be ruled out.
Right. And what is would be the ultimate aim of the resistance movement?
Ultimate aim is implementation of the UN resolutions and the pledges given by United Nations, India and Pakistan for allowing the Kashmiris to exercise their right of self-determination as envisaged in the Great Divide. Divide of the subcontinent.
Right. Because in essence that was the deal, right? That partition, that the Kashmiris would be able to decide at some point whether they would
everybody in
India or Pakistan.
Everybody in India was given that right. You see, whether he wants to live here or live there. The same right was conceded to the Kashmiris. It was not a special right for Kashmiris. The same thing.
Right.
Whereas everybody else has exercised that right, except the Kashmiris. So it is that, in a sense, which you want to be cultivate.
What about your own personal dealing? You said you were involved way back at the beginning in 1947.
I kept fighting for 15 months. Incident. I happened to be known as the first crusader.
The first crusader?
Yes.
How was that?
That was in 47 when we started the revolt against the...
This is after partition had happened?
Immediately
already?
on the state, in the same week.
And you said you fought for 15 months?
Yes.
Right. So you were, as you said, the first
This is how they
crusader?
call me. I mean, I have no claim to it. This is how I call back. No.
Right.
We will break it for a while and have a short break day.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll be busy in the meantime. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we can make it some other time.
Yeah, we can do it.
Certain things to say, and I know you saw the president yesterday, so I guess I wouldn't mind an update on your position on what Pakistan is doing and not doing. Because I know you've criticised Pakistan in the past, and since you've been sitting the senior, no.
Why not? Why?
Please, no.
You don't want it to be recorded?
No. It's just no. This is better.
So nobody would understand your speed. You see? Yeah.
Just to find out what your position is now on Pakistan, what Pakistan is doing and not doing.
But actually, we are not still very clear on that point, and they themselves don't seem to be really clear. They're still been deliberating and discussing as to what should exactly be done and how are they going to react to what India is doing in carrying on with their repression as it is. I personally am not still very clear on that point. Maybe another couple of days.
But are you still pressing them to, for example, go to the United Nations or?
Well, naturally, they're actually obliged to take action on this.
They're not.
So far, I mean, they have not indicated anything to us. I personally do not know whether they intend doing taking it to the United Nations or not. I have absolutely no idea. They don't indicate anything. But we've been pressing that they should be taken around the world and Muslim countries should be part of it. So the United Nations and non-aligned movement and other freedom-loving people in the world.
When you see the Prime Minister and President, do you express concern that they're not doing enough, or
Yes,
exactly
of course,
what you're-
yes, of course. Of course, I've repeatedly said this, even in press I have said this to them directly. Not only that they're not doing enough, but I've been saying that we still don't know what at all they're actually doing. There's nothing visible on the ground so far. And the countries around the world, one by one, are lining up with India instead. Whereas there's every genuine reason that they should have lined up with, it was not with Pakistan, but with the freedom movement and with what is happening in Kashmir. That way, maybe it can be said at the moment that the issue is going by default, and the repression is increasing. It is providing encouragement to India to do whatever they want to do in Kashmir. And the magnitude of suffering will suddenly increase, maybe all of a sudden any time. Shortage of food, for example, shortage of drugs, life-saving drugs and medicines, treatment of wounded people, and in the army killing people at random, men, women, children, everybody that they come across. And no access to the press or to Red Cross or Red Crescent, or no international agency has any access to Kashmir. And it is the government of Pakistan which ultimately will be called to answer for all this.
What is the situation with the refugees? I have gotten such wildly different figures on the refugees, everything from 31 to 8,000.
I think it's the wilderness grows out of interpretation. I think it's not the number really. We have classified them in two classes. One is, strictly speaking, refugees, people who are affected by the crossfire, who live just right on the ceasefire line, on the Indian occupied side. Their number is at the moment is around 300 and odd people, you see, men, women, children who crossed over. Whereas the young boys who are being hunted out by the Indian Army and who are being killed for just on flimsy excuses, they've been scared of Kashmir. They have, of course, been coming in, and we don't treat them as refugees. See, they're just displaced people who might like to go back as soon as they find it possible.
And how many of these people are there?
I think that there should be exact number is difficult to determine because they keep coming from here and there at different times. But I think at the moment there should be around 6,000 to 8,000 people. I think maybe a little more, a little less, but around that number. I think.
So the genuine refugees, families, women, children, are only about 300.
I think there shouldn't be more than 300.
300 people or 300 families?
Not people, I think. It's not families.
And have you begun to move these people into refugee villages?
Yes. They have not villages. At the moment we provided them with some tactic, and they're trying to look after them that way.
And what's happening to the young boys then?
Well, they're still in camps, and we don't know what to do with them.
I bet some people know what to do.
I don't think, you see, individually people have been trying. Some people have been trying to take them out to Afghanistan and to some other places, hideouts, and give them a little training and send them, and this is what they claim. I haven't personally seen anybody doing that, but this is what is reported in the press, and this is what the people usually claim. But that can only be a very small fraction of what it is, you see. But generally, the bulk of the boys are still there, and nobody still knows what to do with them.
Because there was a conference on Kashmir recently, and I was out with the city, but somebody told me that some religious group had gone to Kashmir to help the refugees, and they came back disgusted because they said, Jamaat Islami is taking care of these people, this group is taking care of another group, and that all of these religious groups were moving in to Kashmir, trying to take advantage of the refugees and doing what they liked with them. Has that been a concern?
I think the report is not wholly incorrect. There was an international conference organized by some people here under the patronage of Iranian side, I think. There were mostly Iranians and Lebanese and clergy from there. And they visited Azad Kashmir also. And I don't know what ultimately transpired. They never saw me back when they were back. Mm-hmm. They met me before going there, not after they came back. But there was not much heard about their activity there. They just went and they talked to some people, you see, there, all cross-section people there in Gulfabad, and tried to study what it was. And might at a later stage want to help in some way, but they're not indicated to government as yet.
So there's not a situation developing whereby different groups who are quite committed to the Kashmir, to the struggle, to the jihad,
Yes.
are moving into Kashmir and taking groups of people, training them, inducting them into their particular party, inducting them into their particular religious thinking, and then
There is there's hardly, you can say that there are individuals, as I said, and belonging to various organizations, no doubt, who have been pressing very hard that some of the boys who have come out, they should be trained and sent back, and some of them might have already been taken in Afghanistan, even directly, you see, without coming through Azad Kashmir, and been given training. But there's no such thing as a whole, en masse. There's no such thing like that. And we're trying to take hold of all these little groups who are spread all around, so that we can look after them collectively in one place, and then ultimately see what can be done about them.
I suppose this puts you in a difficult position because
Yes.
as Kashmiris you would like to have them trained, but
Yes.
as a government
No doubt.
it would get you into trouble with Pakistan. Has the President or the Prime Minister raised concern about this?
I have raised concern about this to them. You see, that I've been telling them from the very beginning, it's not only these boys who have become a matter of grave concern for us, but it is our own youngsters in Azad Kashmir who are becoming impatient, you see. And they might themselves start getting training here and there. There are already more than half people are already trained, and they may start infiltrating themselves. Already Indian government has been lodging a claim in anticipation. I say their claim is in anticipation. Nobody's crossed over from Azad Kashmir. They've already started saying that people from Azad Kashmir have crossed over and they are taking part in jihad and this movement and so on and so forth. But this might start happening, you see, very soon. And I've told the President and I told the Prime Minister, and I'm going to see the Prime Minister again today. So we discussed this matter with them.
Is there any special, particular reason why you are seeing President and Prime Minister one day after the other?
Yes, because the situation is getting very grave, very serious, and I as a
On the other side or on your side? In the Indian side?
On the Indian side, you see, and because of that on our side.
But with the
When the
President,
people come in from there, and they tell all sorts of stories, the way people are being killed and the women molested and children destroyed and youngsters destroyed. How on earth can you keep quiet and say that there's no situation and we are not concerned? And then I know my own youngsters from Azad Kashmir are there. They become so impatient. Everywhere if you are here, you find groups and groups of people coming in here from all different places and telling us, asking us as to what should they do about it, and whether we can tell them to do whatever they like, or we have an organized program to tell them. So like that, you see, there's a lot of
pressures are building on you then.
Yes, of course.
Form of programming, I would imagine these youths are coming and asking for training.
Yes.
Is that your specific problem?
That is, of course, and not even without training, you see, they're prepared to cross over and go back.
So what is it specifically you are, I would imagine that you're conveying this to the President and Prime Minister?
Yes.
But what is their reaction? Because so far they have tried to minimize this, at least officially.
So far they have tried to minimize it, but then the magnitude of the problem is increasing. And anybody trying to minimize it will come into direct conflict with it.
So you're going to have to do something. What action are you going to take?
Well, I'll wait for another couple of days to see how the government reacts. And if they have a plan, if they have something to say, if they can pacify the situation, and if they can put pressure on India to see reason and to reduce the pressure on the people, if they can do that, good enough. If not, well then, of course, the people of Azad Kashmir and the refugees living in Pakistan, and maybe many other people from Pakistan itself, free to choose their course.
So in other words, if Pakistan doesn't do something to try and change the situation in India, if that situation doesn't change, you will have no other choice but to start training these people to take a military solution.
We can even ask them to go ahead without training.
Would they want to go back with the ones who come over?
No, not
recently?
of course they can go back. Why not? Why can't they go back?
Why would they be coming here if they're freedom fighters?
As I told you, see, they were being hunted out by the army, villages being searched, and wherever they find a young man, they kill him. They shoot him down in his legs or hands or somewhere, and becomes a crippled man. And this they've been doing since quite some time. It's not just now. You see. This is a part of their planned massacre of youth, because it's only the youth that they're afraid of, and it is only youth who has risen. So the elderly people, they are perhaps been reconciled, you see, and they have taken it for granted.
What is your position on this Sheikh Rashid controversy? He says he's been every camp. Aktizaz Hassan said it's a training camp for
I think he had a training camp.
Well, he said, no, Aktizaz Hassan says it's a training camp for internal terrorists from Pakistan, whereas Sheikh Rashid said it's a training camp.
I think Indians have already trained many terrorists in Pakistan. We don't have to do that to see Sheikh Rashid or myself.
Have you spoken to Mr. Rashid?
No, I haven't spoken to him.
Have you raised concern about his actions, or?
No, I've spoken to some of his friends to see that I think he was making a desperate effort to give some training to these boys and send them back. But that was only an individual effort, and it's a bona fide effort, I think, not training any subversionists in Pakistan. But these boys who come across, and he's a Kashmiri himself. So he might be very genuinely concerned. Any Kashmiri in Pakistan would be genuinely concerned. But that was not an organized effort, so we tried to discourage it.
What about as far as you're concerned, he was training, not just giving food and shelter? As far as you're concerned,
yes.
He was training, not just giving food and shelter?
No, we are giving them only food and shelter at the moment.
Sheikh Rashid?
Sheikh Rashid claimed that he was giving training. I have no direct knowledge of that.
He claims he's not giving training.
I haven't seen. That's what he said earlier, but now I think both of them might be correct, because I don't think he has any elaborate arrangement for training. The training might have only meant a few speeches and lectures here and there, people sitting together and like youngsters, you see, without any guidance, thinking or believing in fantastic ideas and trying to cause a revolution here or there. That could be the thing. But I have personally no knowledge of his giving any training. I don't know of any people who are giving any training to these boys, nor do they have any elaborate arrangement for that.
And what about Indian agents? Are you aware, do you have information that there are more Indian agents in Azad Kashmir?
I cannot say that there are more Indian agents, but there's certainly no area can be without them.
But have more people been taken? More people been taken in? More people have been detained on suspicion of
No,
no?
not in all that. Not detained anybody. Some people crossing the ceasefire line, some dubious people while crossing the ceasefire line have been detained. A very small number, very thousands of people like that.
Most of the reports you've been getting, sir, have been that people have been trying to cross over into this side, and there's been quite a bit of shooting at people trying to cross from India to Pakistan and Kashmir.
Yes.
Now, what about on this side? We haven't heard reports of people on this side trying to cross over, like the shooting incidents we had in March and February. There's been none of this because of the Army's new security measures.
Yes, because nobody has been shot crossing from this side over to that side. It's only from that side that people have been shot.
Now, is there anything else happening there that you think is important to?
Well, so the Indian atrocities increasing every day. Fresh troops and fresh movements and fresh methods.
Fresh methods?
Of course, yes.
On the other side?
Yes.
There were some...
We are expecting very serious food crisis in Kashmir. That is an apprehension with very serious concern.
Library?
Yes, of course.
Has any specific letters, correspondence been sent to the United Nations or any relief agencies, United Nations, to help with the refugees?
Well, some of our Kashmiris residing in Pakistan and America. The other day there was a letter sent to George Bush, and there was a reply sent by his office about the Kashmir situation. Like that, I think that many agencies were keeping in touch with the United States, and UK, and everywhere, wherever the Kashmiris are residing.
But the government itself, your government, has not specifically sent them.
I have no idea, no knowledge.
Because when we saw Raja Farooq Haider Khan, he mentioned he would be contacting the United Nations for help for these displaced people.
Yes, we have already written to some of the agencies like Red Cross and Amnesty and Red Crescent, apprising them of the apprehended food crisis, the crisis of medicine in Kashmir. We are asking the government of Pakistan also to take it up at the international level.
Some of your officials were expressing concern about this Kashmir fund, 100,000 rupees, that the People's Party might use this during the election.
The apprehension, there's uncertainty, the atmosphere is surcharged with suspicion everywhere, so it could be either way this way or that way. It could be true, it could be untrue, or we cannot really pin down.
Have they started to use this relief fund in Kashmir for relief purposes?
Well, the way People's Party has been behaving, they have not shown any scruples in anything, so that we just cannot say what would they do with what.
But have there been any problems?
The sanctity of the administration and the institution has been totally trampled by them. So you never know what they say, whether they believe in it or not, and what they're going to do. So I personally cannot say for what they say. That is why I dissociated myself from the organization which was set up under the federal minister.
What's the Kashmir Council?
It was supposed to be a part of the Kashmir Council, but it was headed by the federal minister, and with me and with the Prime Minister, Sardar Muhammad Abul, and somebody else as member. So Prime Minister and myself both recently yes, we should excuse the middle of this past situation.
When did they try to set this up?
2-3 days back.
A special Kashmir. Was there a special name for this?
I don't remember if there's any particular. This was to operate the Kashmir Relief Fund.
Yes.
Meant to operate Kashmir Relief Fund.
And just one last question. Nawaz Sharif also set up a fund, I understand, 50,000
Yes.
rupees. Is that operational?
50,000? No, it was 5 crores.
Has he started to use this?
No, we have no indication. I think he got confused with the fund announced by the Prime Minister.
Are you going to be in Islamabad for some time or when?
Today,
Today only?
yes.
Then you're going back to Muzaffarabad?
Muzaffarabad.
Oh. And then you'll be there?
I'll be there for another couple of days, unless there'll be something urgent. I can be there.
Because maybe I may be going to Muzaffarabad, so are you there or here
When?
sometime?
When are you?
I haven't really decided. Depends on my other programs. But and then when I do go,
Well, if you come in the coming 2, 3, 4 days, I'll
our swinger in Srinagar who sends us material on a daily basis.
You have a representative in Srinagar?
Yes, there is a man, a Kashmiri who works
Oh,
for
I
us.
see.
I mean, all of the indications are that it is getting worse.
Yes.
That the Indians are clamping down. I'm not really sure how they're going to get out of it, but there's some pretty bad stories, and this kidnapping seems to be getting much worse.
Yeah.
Anyway, so not very pleasant. But my responsibility is to keep in touch on what's happening in
Well,
Pakistan, Kashmir, and it's a bit confusing, I must admit. Because when I went up, I was only showed 31 people, and I was told my Raja group I wanted was 8,000, and I went up to see 3,000, and I was shown 31.
The refugees, you see,
India
they're not
has
confused.
denounced this. India has said this is absurd, that there was, I done a report saying that Russia for Qatar said between 6 to 8,000. The Indian government said this is absurd. They denounced the report. So I went up to see, and I was shown 31, so it didn't make it look very good.
No, I think at that time when you went, there were only about 31 people who had come. 2-3 days back, I think there were about 270 persons. I don't know how many
Yes.
families they crossed over.
But then the relief committee, who were they referring to when they spoke of 8,000?
Yes, I think they were referring to these young boys who had crossed over, yes.
And as far as you know, there's about 6 to 8,000 of them.
Yes.
Yes. And they're scattered all through.
They were just scattered. There was some with Sheikh Rashid here, some with the Jamaat Islami camp somewhere, and some people in Muzaffarabad, and maybe some in Peshawar. Sometimes they have some relatives, you see, who belong to Pakistan, who live here in Pakistan. So
Yes.
they are related there, so some of them flock together in their place. And we don't know exactly where they are and how many of them. But there's a rough estimate of 6 to 8,000 people. Maybe a little more, a little less.
Yeah. Cool.
But we'll get hold of them very soon. We're trying to collect them, and we'll know exactly how many they are.
Is this what you'll do when you go back to the zone?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Because I would like to go and I would like to see. Otherwise, the Indians keep telling us that we're giving false stories. So until I see them myself, I can't do a story saying it's absolutely totally true.
Yes.
So it could be arranged. We could need some.
Yes, certainly when you come,
I will give advance notice.
you give a call to the chief secretary or somebody who does the liaison between
Yes.
himself.
Okay.
And certainly you can stay there for a day or two to think about. See if you can stay there. We don't call them refugee camps, we call them relief camps actually. The refugee camps are different altogether. The relief camps, you see, we only provide them relief, but they come here.
Yes.
And we still don't know what to do with them. They know, we know what they want, but we not decided as yet.
I think it's being in a difficult situation.
It's very difficult, yes. But something will have to be done about them. You can't keep them here for long.
Yes, well, if you don't do something, as you said, someone else will do something, or they'll do something themselves, and that would be that might affect attention from the Kashmir issue, because Pakistan would become heavily criticized.
Well, then, what can you do? Then it will be for India and Pakistan to decide to see if they don't behave, and if they're not reasonable. We can't see these thousands and thousands of people being massacred and butchered like that. I mean, it's just a human problem. You see, leave aside politics, what happens in politics, but this is simply a human problem. If 3 to 4 million people start starving tomorrow, they're starved by Indians, by strangulating the communications as they are doing. It's the government of Pakistan who's going to bear the brunt of it. 3 to 4 million people to be fed from Pakistan will mean quite a lot, and the government of Pakistan will realize what it means. And then they will have to do something to react, to retaliate. So this is what we are telling them, you see, that this is how the situation is fast escalating, and the responsible people should not be oblivious of this fact. They must know what is happening. And that is why I've been shuttling around, you see, meeting this person and that person, and telling them from time to time what the situation is and how we are, what are the possibilities, and how we realize it happening. So
Do you think they're sufficiently concerned?
I think they're getting concerned about it. Perhaps in the beginning they thought it was a very small magnitude of the problem, and Indians would crush it. But now that it is becoming a little too big for everybody, naturally everybody would be concerned.
When you say what's triangulating the communications, you mean the rivers, or when you say the Indians will start interfering with Pakistan? You mentioned something about communications. What exactly do you think that the Indians would do?
The Indians would try to push out as many people as they can, kill them as many as they can, abduct women and take them away, and they kill youth, and they strangulate them to death.
Yeah.
This is what
बाकी पीछे रोको तमाम सीट पर तशरीफ रखें तमाम तशरीफ रखें
जी साढ़े साहब ने ना जी अतीक सारा खड़ा हो गया तुझे सपोर्ट करना जी थोड़ा सा अतीक का मैं कह रही हूँ जी क्यों
सर जी जरा भाई जी आराम से यार आराम से
शुभ पैदा हो गया साहब भी आए नहीं
फैसला हो गया ना गल पा रहे हैं गाले हनी एक आर्डर होना और पता है ना अखबार में अखबार तो
अल्लाह और रसूल का भरोसा होना चाहिए हाँ जी बाकी दुनिया में सुकई सभी जो तंगी तक बड़े प्यार
which is a part of Jammu and Kashmir. On the other side, dozens of Kashmiris are being killed by Indian troops. What action do you plan to stand by?
Primarily, I thank you for coming and affording us the opportunity to talk to the world through you. And with regard to a plan to stop what is happening here, we are contemplating 2 or 3 aspects of it. One is to take the case abroad and explain it to the to world forums, to international organizations, to world leaders, and to journalists, to intellectuals, and to the people abroad, all over, wherever they are, freedom-loving people, as to what exactly the case is, so that they understand what it is. And I've been telling foreign journalists repeatedly that as long as somebody understood that we were in the right, that would be enough for me. Whether they can do something for it or not, that is the point. That's the thing besides. But the basic thing is that our case has gone mostly by default. India, with this big propaganda machine, has been able to turn tables, you see, and they've been able to paint everything which is white as black. And the world and the people abroad seem to understand only the Indian point of view and not the Kashmiri's point of view, together with the Pakistani point of view. So that is one thing which we were trying to do, and we have successfully managed it so far. And the success lies in the fact that India has been forced to cramp curfews there and seal all the information. Yesterday you must have read and heard that they have banned newspapers. This is an extreme measure, you see, which is taken only by governments and by people who know that they are in the wrong and they cannot befool the world opinion anymore. Only then they stop newspapers and everything and the newsmen. So this is one we are doing. And secondly, we are trying to provide all moral and political support to the movement which is going on inside, because they want our moral support in the land-bound area, and there are no other opening except through Azad Kashmir. So we try to give them our full moral and political support. And in case we are pressed hard, by the Indian movements, they are, for example, they might like to attack Azad Kashmir, or they might like to starve the people in Kashmir. Then the people in Azad Kashmir will be forced to join in physically with that movement. And thirdly, we are asking the international organizations like Red Cross and Red Crescent and others to physically go and see what is happening there, and the humanitarian organizations, as I said, to provide humanitarian help to the people there. So this is mostly what we are trying to do, to bring pressure, moral and political pressure on India to stop these atrocities. Is it a very complicated machine?
No, but just, you have to change plans, because if you stay all the time during half an hour...
Yes, that's right.
Everybody's
That's right.
sleeping, so we don't need to move that like that. The tension between India and Pakistan is high now. If a war is going to break out, do you expect a long war or a short war?
It's a question very difficult to answer. You see, because according to what I visualize, it is in the interest of India to see that it's a short war. And it is in our interest to see that it is prolonged. But it has its own difficulties and limitations, no doubt. Whereas the Indian government has been saying that they are preparing to fight a long war. Now, a long war, this is a hoax. They want to just befool the world opinion that they're preparing for a long war. They just cannot afford a long war. They can only afford a short war with India, with Pakistan, and bring in all the resources at once and try to get over it as soon as possible. Any prolonged war will shatter India to pieces from inside, and they just cannot afford it. So I'm expecting, we are trying to make it a prolonged, protracted action, and India might like to do it as a short war.
You think they cannot afford a long war?
No, they just cannot afford a long war.
Why?
You see, because the Indian situation inside, for example, does not warrant a protracted activity like that. And secondly, a long war will have to be shared. The brunt of a long war will have to be shared equally in proportion to the two countries and their resources. So India will have to, where we spend, for example, 10 rupees, India will have to spend 10,000 rupees. So like that, it will cost India far, far more than it would cost us here. For example, in Kashmir, I don't need any money to go and fight. Whereas the Indian government will need every penny that they have to fight on every inch of the ground. For me, I don't need it. A war in Kashmir will cost us 1 by million, you see, as compared to India. So that is why India cannot afford a long war, although they are projecting their view that they're preparing for a long war and so on and so forth, but I don't think they can afford a long war.
Are you satisfied about what Pakistan is doing with Kashmir?
What, you see, when we say Pakistan, there comes up a confusion. By Pakistan, sometimes we mean the people of Pakistan and not the government. Sometimes we mean the government and not the people. And sometimes we mean all the two together. So here, in case of Kashmir, I think the government of Pakistan is not doing enough. In fact, it's not doing anything at all as yet. Even the lip service of sympathy which the government of Pakistan advanced in the beginning, that is also fading out. And at the international level, there is not much that we see being done by them. And of course, at home, whether they do something or not, it's the people who have always supported the Kashmir cause. We have the support of the people, no doubt, without exception. But the government, if you mean the Pakistan government, the government is not doing, well, you can say, not only not enough, but it is not doing anything at the moment. We don't see them doing anything, except one or two statements made by the Prime Minister herself. There's nothing being done by the government of Pakistan. I don't know why.
What about these training camps that everybody is speaking about in Kashmir? Are they real or?
You see, the one thing people fail to understand is that, for example, there's so much, you must have heard so much about the training camp being run by a member of the National Assembly, Sheikh Rashid, said to be done. Now, what training can Sheikh Rashid give? What really happens is this, you see, that these boys, when they are pressed, they are searched for, village to village, place to place, they are hunted out by the Indian Army. They escape for their lives. Either they are shot by Indians, or they escape to Azad Kashmir from wherever they come in. When they come in here, then they become our responsibility to look after them. We have got to look after them, we've got to maintain them, no matter why they have come, what for they have come, regardless of that. Now this can be interpreted as one maintaining training camps. So they are definitely not training camps, they are just relief camps. We don't even call them refugee camps, we call them relief camps. Because we expect that they go back. They have come here only for fear of their lives, so they go back. That is one. The second aspect is that out of these boys, some of them might be taken away by local organizations. For example, in Afghanistan, people from all over the world have on their own, without government sponsoring that activity, have joined in. And they've been fighting there. So many boys from Kashmir also absconded, deserted, joined the war in Afghanistan, and they've gone back and started giving training to the people. And this is routine. Without spelling out the things, everybody would say the same thing. So like that, some individual organizations, or even some individuals themselves. For example, if there is a person who belongs to Kashmir and the family is divided, he's also here and there. And some of his relatives comes from there. And he will give him shelter, but after a couple of days he might want to go back, and he might want to go back only with a weapon. So this man living here, without telling me or without telling anybody, he can stealthily give him a weapon. I would do the same if I could do it. If a relative of mine absconded from there, and he wanted shelter, wanted to go back and fight, I would give him everything that I had. So this is what has been mostly happening. Well, they can be termed as training camps, relief camps, so you can tell them anything that you like. But the government of Azad Kashmir at the moment is not running any training camps as such. But we might do that.
Yeah. And Pakistan government don't provide anything.
Pakistan government, not to my knowledge. I mean, there were some clandestine means. Some people might be doing something, you see, because in a huge movement like this, you cannot control it in totality. You see, it just cannot be controlled by anybody. We still don't know how many of these people have come from across. Because sometimes you get information that the 5 boys living with their relatives in Peshawar, the 10 boys living somewhere else in Lahore, along with their relatives. There are many of them. You see, there are about 1 million families which have been divided, you see, by the ceasefire. So how many people can you find out? How many people can you control? So we still don't know the exact number of the people who have crossed over.
But you're not afraid that these uncontrollable actions
yes. They can create a problem for us, they can create a problem for them across. We are already faced with this problem. Some of the boys are getting impatient. They don't listen to our counsel. And they say, no, to help with you all, we want weapons and we want to go back and fight. No matter how much you educate them, how much you tell them that hold on, we're trying to find out a peaceful political solution and so on and so forth. And I say that you preach gospel to us and we are being killed, massacred, butchered, and our women folk molested, and you're telling us to exercise restraint and so on. This is what they do every day. I come across some people, you see, bump across, and this is what they say.
From where are coming the weapons?
The weapons, we're not giving them any weapons. But I said this is what they claim. See, they say that we don't want any council. We want weapons to go and fight with. So, as I said, there are many people in Pakistan who might be individually doing this without telling anybody. Government may not be doing anything. Government of Pakistan or the Kashmir both.
Do you expect...
But as I said, this cannot go on for long. There has to be a limit to everything. And if I get any resources at my disposal, we will certainly provide them with arms, give them training and send them back.
Oh, you think that...
So they will have to do it. You can't do anything otherwise. How long? You can go out for 6 months, 8 months, a year, but not for all the time. If India continues with this repression...
and India is going to continue.
Well, you see, the amount of repression which India is carrying on is not known to human history. The repression by Israelis is nothing. The repression by the Russians in Afghanistan is nothing as compared to the repression by Indians. I never heard that en masse women folk have been molested by the Russians or by Israelis or by anybody else. But what the Indian army is doing is not known to human history. And how long can you exercise restraint and keep watching this drama? So we have a very great responsibility, and I owe it to the people. I can't sit back and say that let this go on happening. So there's limit to everything, as I said. Maybe I don't know when, but I might also be dragged into this.
But you know that Indian is not going to stop.
Yes, but we are then India will have to face the music. Yes. Then they should be prepared for a bigger confederation, not limited to Kashmir and Azad Kashmir.
Do you think everything something can be done with the election?
Which election?
As a Kashmir election.
Well, if the situation does not become grave, which it is not at the moment, the elections will certainly be held. If an emergency has to be declared and the situation becomes so serious, more than what it is at the moment, then elections naturally cannot be held. It's as simple as that.
Do you expect to go abroad to explain your cause? And if you go abroad, where are you going to go?
You see, if I go myself, it is very difficult to go everywhere. But if I were to go somewhere, I would go to the United States first. I would go to UK. I would go to the European countries, and then of course the Muslim world. Hello. Good morning.
Where exactly in the Muslim world?
Well, almost all the Muslim countries. I personally know almost in every country I have friends and I know them. I've been dealing with them, so it's easier.
And do you believe in a solution on Kashmir with the two superpowers?
The superpowers can, of course, certainly can bring pressure on India to see reason. Yes, certainly they can do that if they wanted to. But superpowers have their own assessments, you see, and their own designs about the geopolitical situation. They don't go by the merits of the case as it appears to me or to somebody else. They have their own considerations and limitations. But they can certainly play a very important role in stopping the situation from further deterioration and escalation. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're a
How are
busy
you?
man. Fine, thank you.
When do you want to go to
Tomorrow, well, they give me the permission to go to ceasefire line, but I have to go with one man of the Ministry of Information.
What do we have to do?
So,
They're going to stop people going to the ceasefire line. I don't know when, but I told them not to stop it.
well, if they
The risk is theirs. If a journalist wants to take the risk of it, it is his choice.
well, it's very difficult to explain.
Yes, but you see, you never know when you start receiving some fire from the Indian pickets immediately across. It's so unpredictable. And that is the basic reason why.
Emphasis on training, for the charge of training going on. here in Pakistan. I was just over talking to Sheikh Rashid, and seeing some of the young lads that are here in Pindi, not at his compound, further out, but certainly here there were about 100 or so young lads. There seems to be, whether there are 8,000, 10,000, a lot of these young lads are coming across looking for something, either weapons, training, money. Are they receiving any kind of assistance here? And
the 2 points that you have raised. One is if they're receiving any assistance, and number 2 is whether they're getting any training or weapons or something like that. Primarily, in the first instance, I still don't know how many they are, and they're all there, because they seem to be, according to our information, without the exact numbers. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
They seem to be spread right from Afghanistan to Kashmir. And nobody exactly knows how many they are or where they are. Somebody was telling me the other day that they have some of them are getting training in about 25 different camps in Afghanistan. God knows where all. I mean, this might be totally untrue, but this is what is being heard, you know. Like that, all over Azad Kashmir, I hear that some boys have come, but we've not been able to locate them. Secondly, quite a number of boys, if all they have come, they must be residing with their relatives on this side of the ceasefire line. As you know, there were 1 million families, divided families. So it's not a small number. And if each family were to accommodate one person, this takes the number to that extent. And we are not able to locate those boys, except that sometimes we get information and some boy accidentally or incidentally comes across and he says that he's been staying here with relatives such as a place. Thirdly, there are boys who have crossed over from this ceasefire line, and they are being looked after by us. We provide them maintenance and look after them. Their number also varies from time to time. It's not a fixed number.
how many would you be now at this point? The ones that are actually...
I think there are around 4,000 boys that we should be looking after. And now the second part of the question, providing assistance. So far, we have been assisting them in maintenance, as you look after their lodging and boarding. And that is all the government of Azad Kashmir has so far been able to do. We have not yet. We have no machinery and no means actually to give them training and weapons. But this is a question which is seriously confronting the people of Azad Kashmir and the government of Azad Kashmir. If the repression continues, the number of youth is going to increase. And if they increase and they don't go back satisfied, well, they're going to be problematic in Pakistan itself and for Azad Kashmir itself. So we have a double problem. We have a problem of meeting that repression there. We have a